Wang Shun came to deliver more food to Li Yuanqing. The quality of the food was even better now. At the same time, Wang Shun also brought people to repair some houses in the valley. The craftsmen who came were far away from their home. They had barely met Li Yuanqing, so the craftsmen did not know that there was a former crown prince here. Li Yuanqing did not say anything. During the meal, Wang Shun told him about the recent events, especially about Princess Xiaoyang. Princess Xiaoyang entered the Royal Martial Arts Academy and became the youngest teacher there. She proposed that martial artists should participate in actual combat. Every month, the Martial Arts Academy would compete against martial artists of the same level, challenge advanced martial artists, and even compete with the local martial arts academy. If one fails 3 times in a row, they will be expelled. The students that Princess Xiaoyang brought out are very powerful and are very strong in actual combat. Furthermore, Princess Xiaoyang even fought with the teachers of the Martial Arts Academy. She challenged almost all the teachers of the Martial Arts Academy, and almost no one was her match. Everyone says that the princess is a heaven-gifted genius. She is the #1 person in the Royal Martial Arts Academy. She is already at the peak of the 7th grade and is about to enter the 8th grade at any time. Right now, the world is very peaceful. That sword strike of the Wind Thunder sect is enough to make people tremble in fear. Everyone is guessing that the martial saint of the Northern Kingdom must be very powerful and is stronger than many martial saints. However, no one knows how powerful he is. When Wang Shun talked about this martial saint, his face was full of admiration. He even cupped his hands in the direction of Kaiyuan County to show his respect. This was a popular habit in the Northern Kingdom nowadays. They could directly address the emperor as Your Majesty, but when it came to the martial saint, they would cup their hands in respect in that direction, expressing their respect from the bottom of their hearts, because this was a treatment that an expert should enjoy. Wang Shun was used to doing this. Therefore, he never expected that the person whom he respected the moment he heard the name was actually Li Yuanqing, who was eating quietly before him. Li Yuanqing did not say anything after hearing Wang Shun's words. This was quite good. When he was not strong, he would hide his achievements and fame. When he really felt invincible, it would not be a problem to be high profile. At this moment, it was better to sign in silently and hide. After Wang Shun left, Li Yuanqing was drinking tea under the tree when he saw Hu Juju appear from a distance on the Qilin beast. She seemed to have returned here for some time when Princess Xiaoyang went to the Martial Arts Academy. However, Li Yuanqing had been cultivating all this while and did not bother about her at all. She must have gone to the hinterlands of the wilderness. In 2 days, go to Xiaoyang's side and bring her some things. Princess Xiaoyang must have listened to his words when he saw that she was looking for people in the Martial Arts Academy to engage in a crazy battle. Her level had increased too quickly, and her realm was not stable enough. He still had many wallbreaker pills and medicinal pills that could help her break through to the 8th grade. He had no use for them anyways. Thinking about it, he could only give some to Xiaoyang since there was no one else other than her. After arranging these things, he signed in with great effort and continued cultivating. Hu Juju calmed down after going to the hinterlands of the wilderness. Even though she was being suppressed by Li Yuanqing, the 9-tailed fox tribe had a lifespan of thousands of years. Besides, she was only injured. As long as she could find a way to recover from her injuries, she might be able to break free one day. She would quietly wait for that day. Hu Juju had her own plans, but never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that Li Yuanqing's manipulation arts was already at level 5. Hu Juju was destined to be disappointed. Li Yuanqing did not say anything about that. He merely went to the ancient ruins in the valley after Hu Juju left. After all, there were many rewards there. There, he had obtained hundreds of elixirs that could improve his sand escape technique. He had even obtained a cultivation technique related to the Saint Extermination Stone. This made him overjoyed. He had never used the Saint Extermination Stone ever since he had obtained it. It wasn't that he didn't have a chance to use it, but he felt that there was something lacking about the Saint Extermination Stone. He had always been cautious. As long as he felt that something was amiss, he would definitely not use it. Thus, he had never used the Saint Extermination Stone before. After he got a cultivation technique book regarding the Saint Extermination Stone, he realized that there were many different levels of martial saints. The difference between each level of martial saints is huge. In the early stage of Martial Saint, there were Grotto Heaven Realm, Spirit Transformation Realm, and Formation Arrangement Realm. Each realm was divided into 9 grades. Therefore, ordinary martial artists who yearned for the Martial Saint realm were only at the early stage of the Grotto Heaven Realm, which was within Grotto Heaven Realm's 1st to 2nd grade. From the 3rd to 6th grade of Grotto Heaven Realm is the intermediate stage, while those at the 7th to 9th stage were at the advanced stage of Grotto Heaven Realm. The 5 martial saints that the Wind Thunder sect's evil technique had raised were at most at the Grotto Heaven Realm's 1st grade. They were not even at the mid-level of the 1st stage. The Wind Thunder sect's sect master was only at the peak of the Grotto Heaven Realm. Because Li Yuanqing had suppressed his cultivation level in the early stages, his foundation was especially strong after countless cleansing attempts. Therefore, the moment he entered the Grotto Heaven Realm of the Martial Saint, he was already at the mid-level of Grade 2, which was equivalent to being 2 levels higher than the Wind Thunder sect master. In terms of the Martial Saint level, a single level was enough to crush someone to death. This was also the reason why Li Yuanqing was able to suppress the sect master of the Wind Thunder sect to the point that he could not move. Li Yuanqing could tell from the cultivation techniques he had signed that the almighties from the ancient times were all above the spirit transformation realm. Knowing this, he dared not relax even a little. He decided that he must cultivate in this wilderness valley and not go out easily. 5 years passed in a flash. In the past 5 years, the Wind Thunder sect's sword strike had intimidated the entire Northern Kingdom's hidden forces, allowing the Northern Kingdom to enjoy 5 years of peace. Princess Xiaoyang had also stayed in the Royal Martial Arts Academy for 5 years. She became a peak 8th grade martial artist. Li Huanjuan had also advanced to the 9th grade. He had also issued a decree to make Princess Xiaoyang the crown princess. It could be said that he had completely fallen out with the aristocratic families because of this. Each of the 8 great clans in the Northern Kingdom had a stronger foundation than the Li clan of the Northern Kingdom. These clans were noble and had been officials for generations. They controlled the government and arranged marriages with each other. They also nurtured their descendants to become strong martial artists. The Zhao clan, the Han clan, the Wei clan, the Ji clan, the Fan clan, the Zhongxing clan, the Wang clan, and the Li clan were called the 8 great clans by the Northern Kingdom citizens. Among them, even though the Li clan was a royal family, they were ranked last because they did not have a longer history than the other clans, and they did not have the foundation. Each of the 8 great clans actually had an old ancestor. It was rumored that there were also saints in recent years. However, the 8 great clans didn't reveal it. Therefore, on the surface, the Northern Kingdom was still the most powerful royal clan. However, if the 7 great clans really joined forces to oppose a single matter, the consequences would be dire. For example, this time, when His Majesty Li Huanjuan conferred the title of Crown Princess to Princess Xiaoyang, the 7 great clans actually jointly submitted a petition indicating that they would not comply with His Majesty's decree because the entire world would be chaos when a woman meddled in politics. There would also be a ceremony to confer the title of the Crown Princess. She would be granted amnesty and the entire country would celebrate. However, the 7 great clans all said that they would not participate in this ceremony, nor would they acknowledge her identity as the Crown Princess. This was very awkward. This was almost equivalent to the 7 great clans going against the royal decree together. His Majesty Li Huanjuan had originally intended to issue a decree to reprimand the 7 great clans. However, the head of the 7 great clans, the Zhao clan, announced at the same time that the Zhao clan's old ancestor had broken through to the Martial Saint realm and would be celebrating for the old ancestor. He even sent an invitation to the Li clan. Li Huanjuan had yet to be furious when the remaining members of the 7 great clans, namely the Wang clan, Han clan, Wei clan, Ji clan, Fan clan, and Zhongxing clan, announced to the world one after another as if they had reached an agreement. They said that they will celebrate with the Zhao clan when their old ancestors break through to the Martial Saint realm. A sudden appearance of 7 martial saints, and they were the ancestors of the 7 great clans, became the most shocking topic in the past 5 years. Since the founding of the Northern Kingdom, there have been very few martial saints. For 7 of them to appear at the same time and directly challenge the royal family of the Northern Kingdom, their intentions could be seen as malicious. Furthermore, these 7 great clans had chosen to announce this matter at this time. It was clear that their intentions were not pure. They wanted to control the royal family of the Northern Kingdom and gain more power. They might even overthrow the Northern Kingdom and replace it with any of their descendants. Princess Xiaoyang also heard the news, but she was also actively responding. She had seen the incident of the Wind Thunder sect and knew that there were many types of martial saints. Hu Jujiu could deal with a few martial saints by herself, while her elder brother could kill 5 or 6 martial saints with a single slash. Therefore, she did not panic. Instead, she was thinking of a countermeasure that would be most beneficial to the Northern Kingdom. When Li Yuanqing heard the news from Wang Shun, he was eating his favorite braised pork ball. He did not show any surprise nor did he stop, but continued eating with his head lowered. The Grotto Heaven realm of Martial Saint was divided into 9 grades. Each grade is of different strength. Who knew what realm those old ancestors were at? He had not been idling around in the past 5 years. He had already reached the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm's 3rd grade. His cultivation speed was extremely fast. This was nothing. The key thing was that the Saint Extermination Stone he cultivated was already very powerful. He had always wanted to find an opportunity to practice, but he had never had the chance to do so. He hadn't put the manipulation arts aside for the past 5 years either. After it was raised to level 5, it became even more exquisite. The Sand Escape technique had also reached master level, and the Clear Sky Swords art had also reached the master level. Li Yuanqing felt that if he had the chance, he would be able to parry a strike that was even more powerful than the strike from the Wind Thunder sect. Therefore, Li Yuanqing was very calm. He even drank a cup of tea after the meal. When he drank the tea, he even saw the Qilin beast slowly approaching him. He had seen this Qilin beast several times over the years. He knew that this was Hu Jujiu's mount. Moreover, with this Qilin beast around, there was no beast tied in the wilderness anymore. Therefore, Li Yuanqing did not chase the Qilin beast away but allowed it to enter and leave freely. After all, when the beast tide came, whether it was the soldiers of the garrison or the commoners of the wilderness, the casualties were still very heavy. It was a good opportunity for the Northern Kingdom to recuperate without the beast tide. Li Yuanqing did not chase the Qilin beast away, but the Qilin beast still did not dare to approach him. It only came to check if its master was back. It was a pity that Hu Jujiu had always been by Princess Xiaoyang's side. In these 5 years, she rarely returned to the Wilderness Valley. However, just as the Qilin beast was about to leave, Li Yuanqing suddenly said, "Let's wait for half a day. Xiaoyang should be here soon." As a 3rd-grade Grotto Heaven Realm martial saint, Li Yuanqing could already sense Princess Xiaoyang's aura rushing towards the wilderness. Half a day later, Princess Xiaoyang arrived with Hu Jujiu. When the Qilin beast saw Hu Jujiu, it quickly swayed its short tail and moved closer, rubbing its head against Hu Jujiu's clothes. Meanwhile, Princess Xiaoyang bowed to Li Yuanqing and called out dejectedly, "Big brother, father bestowed me the title of Crown Princess, but none of the aristocratic families agreed to it. There are 7 martial saints among the 7 aristocratic families. Moreover, they are not martial saints that have been upgraded with the Wind Thunder Great Art. I guess that some of them have already broken through to martial saints decades ago. However, they have been hiding it all this while. This time, the Northern Kingdom is in great danger. My father has discussed with me that if it really doesn't work out, I shouldn't be conferred the title." Princess Xiaoyang bitterly smiled, her spirit withering. In truth, she had also thought of many methods. However, there seemed to be no solution. The Northern Kingdom's royal family could only rely on Hu Jujiu, a martial saint, and her elder brother. But there were 7 martial saints in the Aristocratic's families. If they were not careful, the Northern Kingdom would be in danger of being overthrown. Therefore, Li Huanjuan was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He had not slept for many days because of his anxiety. In the end, he discussed with Princess Xiaoyang for the sake of the empire. If it really didn't work out, he wouldn't confer the title of Crown Princess for the time being. If the aristocratic clans wanted to make use of this opportunity to cause trouble, it would be considered treason. He would gather all the martial artists in the world to resist. Although he said that, Li Huanjuan was not confident. The Northern Kingdom had too few martial saints, and their foundation was too weak. The foundation of the Northern Kingdom, which had only been founded 100 years ago, was too shallow. Father has no choice. Although I can't stand him sacrificing us for the sake of the country, I hope that when I become the great empress one day, I won't have to sacrifice my family for the sake of the country. Xiaoyang was also in despair. Her thoughts were especially beautiful, but was it possible? It's impossible because she was not strong enough. Sigh, big brother, we won't be able to deal with the combined forces of the 7 great clans. I won't confer the title of crown princess first. Then, I'll try to bribe 1 or 2 of them and break through them one by one. I'll use Hujuju to break through them one by one. Perhaps I'll have to bear the humiliation for the next few years, but as long as I follow the original plan, I'll be able to resolve this crisis in the end. Xiaoyang wasn't a brainless woman. Right now, she was speaking her heartfelt thoughts. In her opinion, the 7 great clans were too powerful, and even her elder brother might not be able to handle them. For the sake of her elder brother's safety, for the sake of the citizens of the Northern Kingdom, she wanted to endure this humiliation for a few years and take down the 7 great clans one by one. Hujuju could not deal with 7 martial saints, but it would be much easier if she split them one by one or into groups of 2. It was just that this way, the Li clan of the royal family would have to lower their heads temporarily to the 7 great clans, allowing the 7 great clans to be arrogant for a period of time before attacking them one by one. This was also the strategy that Li Yuanqing and Princess Xiaoyang had discussed, especially Princess Xiaoyang. She didn't want her big brother to be in any danger. Even though she would suffer some humiliation, it was nothing compared to her brother's life. First, have some tea. How many years will this plan of yours take? Moreover, the 7 great clans most probably had made preparations for when they made this announcement. Only by joining forces will they be able to deal with the Li clan of the Northern Kingdom. Li Yuanqing was smirking right now. It had been 5 years since he last saw his sister. She seemed to have grown up. She even knew how to use strategies and defeat them one by one. This was a strategy that an emperor had to come up with. There was some improvement. 5 years. It should be enough in another 5 years. At that time, I should be able to break through to the 9th grade. I have time to waste with them. I don't believe that the 7 great clans can still be as united as an iron plate in 5 years' time. Princess Xiaoyang had a determined look on her face. She was also trying to use her own methods to deal with these troublesome matters instead of begging her elder brother. Li Yuanqing was pleased with her attitude of wanting to be independent and handle the affairs of the Northern Kingdom by herself. Princess Xiaoyang was indeed Li Yuanqing's sister. Good. 5 years is too long and too troublesome. 5 days is enough to settle such a matter. Young lady, don't forget what I told you. You are the princess of the royal family and my younger sister. Be yourself. In the future, if you want to get married, marry the person you love and do whatever you want. The Northern Kingdom doesn't need a woman to sacrifice. Before Li Yuanqing could finish his sentence, the usually strong and arrogant Princess Xiaoyang's eyes were already red. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she threw herself into Li Yuanqing's arms the next moment. Tears streamed down her face. For so many years, everyone had been saying that she was the pride of the Northern Kingdom, that she was the hope of the Northern Kingdom. She was the youngest and most promising martial artist in the Northern Kingdom. She was the first princess to be conferred the title of Crown Princess. She was noble and had a high status. She was loved by everyone and was the most respected princess in the Northern Kingdom. But only her brother would tell her like he did when she was young. He would treat her as a young lady and dote on her. He would let her be herself, marry when she wanted, and do whatever she wanted. One had to know how difficult this was for a princess of the royal family, especially for a country with an unstable foundation and insufficient resources. It was extremely difficult for a princess who wanted to become the crown princess to be able to do this. It was because she knew how difficult it was and how much her brother doted on her that the prideful princess Xiaoyang hugged Li Yuanqing and cried her eyes out. This was also the only time she cried so recklessly the last time her brother left the palace. Princess Xiaoyang was actually already in her 20s. Because she was a 9th grade martial artist, her current appearance was as delicate as a 16 or 17-year-old young girl. Not only was she beautiful, but she also had the noble aura of a high and mighty princess of the royal family. Even when she cried, there was a hint of stubbornness. Li Yuanqing sighed in his heart. This sister of his was good at everything except crying in front of him. But once she cried, his heart would soften. In fact, if Xiaoyang were to find out what Li Yuanqing was thinking, she would definitely object. That was because she had never cried in front of anyone in the entire northern kingdom, including her father, not to mention the other royal relatives and generals. Her delicate tears only flowed in front of her brother. All right, don't cry anymore. Once you cry, your eyes will swell up and you won't look good anymore. If you think that 5 days is too long, then we'll make it into 3 days. I will settle this troublesome matter for you in 3 days. Just wait to be conferred the title of the crown princess. Li Yuanqing stroked Princess Xiaoyang's hair. Her black hair was shiny and smooth. It was very comfortable to touch. No, big brother, they are very powerful. It's fine. Hu Jujio, you can stay here with the princess for a few days. Li Yuanqing called Hu Jujio and looked at his clothes. Xiaoyang had so many tears that his clothes were drenched. This girl must have had a hard time all these years. However, this was something she was willing to do. Perhaps crying would be enough. This was the first time in the 5 years since Li Yuanqing had walked out of the Valley of the Wilderness. And this time, his target was the Zhao clan, the head of the 7 great clans. The Zhao clan was actually the maiden home of the previous dynasty's empress. Originally, when the Northern Kingdom was established, the founding ancestors' intention was to seize the opportunity to wipe out all of the members of the Zhao clan. However, at that time, the Zhao clan had offered a lot of treasures to support the founding of the Northern Kingdom. In addition, the Zhao clan's patriarch's bloodline was executed. At that time, the patriarch was the father of the previous dynasty's empress, and the person who made that decision was the Zhao clan's old ancestor. Someone who could be so ruthless to his own children and grandchildren was definitely not a kind person. He knew how to judge the situation and make use of every opportunity. Therefore, Li Yuanqing's first stop was the Zhao clan. He wanted to see how they would celebrate and fight against the royal family after destroying the Zhao clan's old ancestor. It started drizzling on the mountain early in the morning when he reached the old mansion in the Zhao clan's fief. Although this place was called an old mansion, it was actually like a castle, a heavily guarded castle. The Zhao clan's old ancestor lived here. No one noticed Li Yuanqing when he entered the old mansion, including the martial saint, the old ancestor of the Zhao clan. He suddenly stood in front of the old ancestor of the Zhao clan at the back of the mountain where the scenery was as beautiful as a painting. Who are you? The Zhao clan's old ancestor didn't feel that his words carried a trace of fear and dread. It was because with his cultivation realm, it was impossible for him not to notice anyone, not even the martial saint of the Northern Kingdom. But who was this young man in front of him who looked like an immortal? Could he be an immortal? Impossible. How is this possible? Someone who wants your life. Weren't you lying low 100 years ago? Why did you jump out now? You're really asking for it. Li Yuanqing could not help but shake his head and sigh after looking at this man in his 40s or 50s. In the past, the Zhao clan's old ancestor had been able to execute his own son and grandson and lower his head to protect the entire Zhao clan. But why couldn't he restrain himself now? It was all because he was too arrogant and thought that there was no one left in the Northern Kingdom. Therefore, people should not get carried away. They should be like him. If they had secretly accumulated their strength, just like him signing in the wilderness to accumulate his strength, they would definitely not bring about a disaster. Are you someone from the royal family? Or, the Zhao clan's old ancestor was deliberately delaying to find an opportunity. The cultivation technique in his body had already begun to circulate, and when he found an opportunity, he would slap this man before him whose depth couldn't be seen clearly. Unfortunately, Li Yuanqing had already thrown out his Saint Extermination Stone by the time he made his move. This treasure had been nurtured in his hands for many years now. Furthermore, when Li Yuanqing was in the valley, he had been cultivating the skill of the Saint Extermination Stone non-stop. This skill had reached the master level. At this time, when the egg-sized Saint Extermination Stone flew in front of the Zhao clan's old ancestor, it was like a giant mountain was pressing down on him, making it so that the Zhao clan's old ancestor couldn't escape even if he wanted to, because no matter how you escape, you will not be able to escape the control of the Saint Extermination Stone. This Zhao clan's old ancestor was extremely unwilling. He had already broken through to Martial Saint, and had been hiding for many years. He had also been secretly observing. When the founding martial saint of the Northern Kingdom died without a sound, he continued to hide for another 10 years. After confirming that there was no one left in the Northern Kingdom who could suppress them, he jumped out. That was why the Zhao clan's old ancestor was extremely cautious. He was in hiding for all these years until he saw Li Yuanqing today. This saint extermination stone was extremely tyrannical. Li Yuanqing had obtained it for many years before using it today. Zhao clan's old ancestor was also someone who knew his stuff. He knew that he could not resist it at all once he saw the saint extermination stone, so he could only escape. While there is life, there is hope. If he could not defeat him, he could only flee. As long as he could escape this calamity, the Zhao clan would be able to rise again. However, even though the Zhao clan's old ancestor thought it through, how could there be such an easy thing in this world? Could he truly escape from the saint extermination stone? He wanted to escape, but before he could escape, he was heavily pressed down by the saint extermination stone. The Zhao clan's old ancestor, who was originally a martial saint, was killed by the saint extermination stone like an ordinary person. The magical thing about the saint extermination stone was that even a martial saint expert who had achieved the greater mastery of the martial saint realm would not be able to activate his cultivation under its attacks. That was why it was called the saint extermination stone. But how could the Zhao clan's old ancestor know? Just like that, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. His life was gone just like that. Li Yuanqing was a little surprised that he died without any hesitation. This was his first time using the saint extermination stone. He did not expect it to be so effective. He did not even use his clear sky sword. That was too easy. After keeping the saint extermination stone, Li Yuanqing could still feel the surging power within it. Even after killing the Zhao clan's old ancestor, the power within the stone did not seem to decrease much. This must be the result of Li Yuanqing's hard work over the years. Initially, when Li Yuanqing was about to leave after killing the Zhao clan's old ancestor, he suddenly recalled that the Zhao clan was an aristocratic family. There were quite a number of people other than the old ancestor. Since he was here, he might as well settle the matter properly. Therefore, he looked around and killed the Zhao clan's patriarch and several elders. They had to be prepared to bear the consequences since they dared to defy the decree with such confidence and dared to overthrow the Northern Kingdom. However, Li Yuanqing thought as he left after killing the patriarch and elders that it was quite funny that no one in the entire Zhao clan's old mansion had discovered him. The attendant who brought the tea did not hear any response when he knocked on the door. He placed the hot tea on the table and left quietly, completely unaware that Li Yuanqing, who was standing not far away from him, had already killed the entire heads of the Zhao clan. He only left behind some servants and some distant relatives of the Zhao clan. He did not exterminate them all, mainly because there was too little time, and he could not figure out who was innocent. Although the Zhao clan's old ancestor was detestable, there was no need to kill the innocent. After leaving the Zhao clan, Li Yuanqing headed to the Han clan of the Northern Kingdom without delay. The Han clan wasn't very far from the Zhao clan. They were located on flat plains, and there were fertile crops and rice fields everywhere. Their old mansion was built like a maze, and every road was almost the same. Furthermore, every courtyard had the same door. Even the roadside was filled with trees that were trimmed in the same manner. It was easy for people who were not familiar to get lost. Therefore, there were not many people on guard in the Han clan's old mansion. There were almost no guards, because even if someone entered their old mansion, they would only walk around in circles. It was very difficult to walk out. Li Yuanqing did not get lost. That was because the moment he approached the Han clan's old mansion, he locked onto the strongest martial saint, the old ancestor of the Han clan. There were quite a few other members of the Han clan who had a strong aura. Li Yuanqing spent some time locking onto all of them and saw them gathered together for a discussion. They were still talking about the Northern Kingdom and the aristocratic families. Li Yuanqing decided to listen a little more. There were not many people in the meeting room, but the words they said were bold and reckless. In the first seat was the old ancestor of the Han clan with white hair, who was resting with his eyes closed. However, he did not notice Li Yuanqing's movements. The Northern Kingdom's fate has already come to an end. A former crown prince's meridians have been crippled, and he is now a cripple. The second and third princes are all dead, and the fourth prince is also a cripple. None of the four princes are of any use. Li Yuanqing had no choice but to push Princess Zhaoyang out. Ha 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 ha, and he's even conferring a title of the crown princess? In my opinion, the old ancestors of our 7 great clans might as well directly enter the imperial city and force them to abdicate. That's right. Let Li Yuanqing abdicate and give the throne of the northern kingdom to our family. I'll elect second brother as the emperor. No matter what, he's stronger than Li Yuanqing's princes and princesses. I'll choose second brother. We haven't confirmed who will be the emperor yet. The old ancestors have to draw lots to discuss this. Our Han clan has some chances. The Han clan was basically talking about forcing the emperor to abdicate and making them the emperor. This made Li Yuanqing, who was standing outside the door, feel that it was extremely ridiculous. These people were really daring. They were so straightforward about the rebellion that no one inside could be spared. At the thought of this, Li Yuanqing pushed open the door and walked into the meeting hall. There were more than 10 disciples of the Han clan here. When they saw him walk in so openly, everyone was stunned. They did not react. That was because Li Yuanqing was like an immortal, with an aura that others could only look up to. However, this was the meeting hall of the Han clan. Not to mention outsiders, even ordinary disciples of the Han clan were not qualified to come here. Who was this person that suddenly appeared? What was he trying to do? Who are you? The old ancestor of the Han clan reacted faster and stood up with a loud cry. He could tell that Li Yuanqing was extraordinary because of his high cultivation level. The person who he could not see through was the scariest. Moreover, the words that his children and grandchildren had said just now were all disgraceful words. They were now in the northern kingdom. If these words were to spread out, their entire family would be executed. So who was this person? No matter what he wanted to do, he couldn't walk out of this meeting hall alive. Although the northern kingdom's royal family was useless, the Han family would be pushed into the limelight when he left. Therefore, the old ancestor of the Han clan secretly gave a signal with his eyes. The dozen Han clan disciples surrounded Li Yuanqing in the middle. At this time, in the old mansion of the Zhao clan, the deaths of the Zhao clan's old ancestor and patriarch had finally been discovered. The old mansion of the Zhao clan began to ring with the sound of rushing bells. The entire Zhao clan was in chaos, and only now did someone remember that they had to hurry and inform the remaining 6 great clans that such a major incident had happened, so that they could avenge the Zhao clan. There was a special communication method between the 7 great clans. Such a huge incident happened to the Zhao clan. The old ancestor was killed silently, the patriarch and elders were killed, yet no one sensed it. It was still unclear when the patriarch died. There were servants from the Zhao clan who were proficient in autopsy. After a careful examination, they were informed that the Zhao clan's old ancestor had been dead for a full 6 hours. The time of the patriarch and the elders' death was about the same as the old ancestors. The servant who brought the tea to the patriarch was called over for questioning. The servant was so frightened that his whole body was trembling. He was completely stunned and couldn't even speak properly, but at least he explained what he knew clearly. 6 hours ago, I delivered tea to the patriarch according to my old habits. The door to the patriarch's room was tightly shut. I followed my old habits and placed the tea on the table outside. The patriarch used to be like this too. He didn't like to be disturbed. I really didn't hear or know anything. The servant was crying so hard that his snot and tears were flowing out. He really didn't hear anything. When he was delivering tea to the patriarch, he never imagined that the patriarch would be killed in the room without a sound. Moreover, according to the time, the murderer might not have gone far at that time. He might have even seen him. As soon as he thought of this, the servant trembled with fear. How terrifying was this? The old ancestor and patriarch of the Zhao clan were all killed in such a straightforward manner. Most importantly, the entire Zhao clan was filled with people at that time. Servants like him who served tea, as well as servants and guards, were all waiting outside. The old ancestor was a martial saint, and the patriarch had the strength of a 9th-grade martial artist. Such a person would cause a huge commotion even if they were to make a move, let alone be killed. So how could no one have heard it? At this moment, the Zhao clan seemed to have lost their souls. They felt that there was a man-eating beast inside as they looked at the huge old mansion of the Zhao clan. Otherwise, why didn't anyone hear any noise? Who in the world was this person? Who had the ability to make the old ancestor die silently like this? It was simply unimaginable. Seal the News immediately informed the remaining 6 old ancestors that the Zhao clan wants revenge. The Zhao clan had a senior who had been chosen at the last minute to oversee the overall situation. At this moment, his face was as black as iron, and he wholeheartedly wanted to take revenge. So, he used the fastest speed to spread the news of the Zhao clan to the remaining 6 clans, waiting for their support. At this moment, the entire Han clan's meeting hall was filled with corpses. There were more than 10 members of the Han clan, but none of them survived. It was precisely because no outsiders were allowed to approach every time the Han clan entered the meeting hall, including the servants and guards, as well as some women and children of the Han clan. When Li Yuanqing left the Han clan, none of the members of the Han clan knew that their old ancestor and core disciples of the Han clan were all dead this time. When the news of the Zhao clan reached the Han clan, the descendants of the Han clan who received the news saw that they had used the highest level of communication to send the news. They knew that the news that was sent was definitely no small matter. Therefore, they didn't dare to delay and immediately went to deliver the letter. It was just that when he delivered the letter, he was told that the Han clan's old ancestor and family head were in the meeting hall, so that Han clan disciple didn't dare rashly barge into the meeting hall, because there were similar situations before. When the Han clan encountered trouble, there was a precedent of someone breaking into the meeting hall and being punished. This time around, it was the Zhao clan who was in trouble. It wasn't the Han clan that was in trouble. Therefore, the Han clan disciple could only wait outside for 2 to 3 hours. At this moment, Li Yuanqing arrived at the Wang clan. The Wang clan had always kept a low profile, but it had been around for 1,000 years. The descendants of the Wang clan had been through 3 dynasties without falling, and they had imperial teachers, prime ministers, and generals. Even Li Yuanqing's previous teacher was from the Wang clan. If it wasn't because Li Yuanqing didn't want to be the crown prince back then, the Wang clan would have another imperial teacher when he took that position. The Wang clan's foundation was very deep. The Wang clan's women were all connected by marriage with the 7 great clans, and even when the princes chose their concubines, the Wang clan disdained to send out their women as candidates. Furthermore, unlike other aristocratic families, the Wang clan had their own martial academy. It was used to nurture martial artists with surnames related to the Wang clan or the Wang clan members. These martial artists were only loyal to the Wang clan and did not care who became the emperor. This was also one of the reasons why the Wang clan had not been destroyed after several dynasties. That was also the reason the founding ancestor of the Northern Kingdom had only comforted the Wang clan back then and did not kill them. According to the heritage of the 7 great families, the Wang clan was slightly more powerful than the Zhao clan. However, the Wang clan kept a low profile, so the leader became the Zhao clan. Li Yuanqing had a hunch. He suspected that the Wang clan already had a martial saint when they established the Northern Kingdom. There might have been more than one in the past 100 years. However, the Wang clan had always been respectful to the imperial court. In addition, there were many members of the Wang clan who were officials in the imperial court, and there were no obvious revolts or extremely vile crimes. Therefore, the Northern Kingdom did not attack the Wang clan. It was just that this time, the Wang clan and the remaining 6 great clans all opposed His Majesty's insistence and even objected to Princess Zhaoyang being made the crown princess. Li Yuanqing felt that the Wang clan decided to make a move. His Majesty had no other ways to deal with such a huge clan. Even if Zhaoyang were to take up that position in the future, she would still not be able to do anything. This was because these clans' foundations were too strong. It was even more powerful than the royal family of the Northern Kingdom. This was also the reason why Zhaoyang wanted to use a stalling tactic to slowly drive a wedge between these aristocratic families. It was because of the Wang clan. Li Yuanqing had to put in a bit more effort for the Wang clan. After all, there were simply too many people in the Wang clan. Other than the Wang clan's old ancestor, there was also the patriarch, elders, and some powerful beings. Li Yuanqing did not want to let any of them off. Especially when he got close to the Wang clan's mansion, he discovered that the Wang clan actually had 2 martial saints. Moreover, these two martial saints had very high cultivation realms. They were actually Grotto Heaven Grade 2. This was not something that a Grade 1 Grotto Heaven realm martial saint could compare with. The Wang clan was indeed the strongest among the 7 great clans. Li Yuanqing started to think about how he could achieve the effect he wanted this time. Seeing that the sky was about to turn dark, the Han clan's matriarch went to the meeting hall. In the entire Han clan, she was the only one who dared to go near the meeting hall. This was because when the Han clan was having a meeting, they had once sentenced the little girl who delivered tea to death. The meeting hall was unusually quiet. This made the matriarch of the Han clan feel more at ease. It was good that they didn't quarrel. It must be because the old ancestor was here, so no one dared to speak. Therefore, she deliberately stood outside the door and waited for the old ancestor to summon her. According to the past habits, as long as the matriarch approached the meeting hall, she would be discovered by the old ancestor. No matter what, the old ancestor would still show her some respect because back then, she was the Wang clan's daughter that the old ancestor personally chose to marry into the Han clan. This was also the reason why no one in the Han clan dared to approach the meeting hall other than her. However, the matriarch of the Han clan had been quietly standing outside the door for 15 minutes, but she hadn't heard a single sound. Instead, she felt a faint scent of blood waft out from the meeting hall. In a moment of desperation, she pushed open the door to the meeting hall. The door was closed and not locked. When she pushed the door open and saw the scene inside, her legs went soft and she knelt down. Then, she shouted in a voice that even she found unfamiliar. "Quick! Something big has happened. Inform everyone from the Han clan to come to the meeting hall. Quick! Something has happened to the old ancestor. The patriarch is also?" No matter how many things the matriarch had experienced, she was crying now and her voice had changed. The Han clan was in chaos, and the old mansion rang the bell a total of 12 times. The servants of the Han clan, who were busy at first, and the maidservants who were preparing dinner, as well as some of the Han clan disciples who had just finished cultivating, put down their work and ran towards the meeting hall upon hearing this voice. Some of the core disciples were called over too. In truth, the true core disciples were all gathered in the meeting hall. This time, even the third-grade martial artists had been called over. This was because it was practically a disaster for the Han clan this time. At this moment, the highest cultivation of the Han clan was actually the matriarch of the Han clan. However, she only has a 6th grade cultivation level. All the 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade martial artists of the Han clan had died in the meeting hall with the old ancestor. The 100 years of foundation of the Han clan had been wiped out in a single day. And when the Han clan disciples saw the Han clan's old ancestor, as well as the patriarch and elders, lying neatly in the meeting hall, the eyes of the younger generation of the Han clan disciples turned red. Some of them jumped up and cursed angrily. Who killed the old ancestor? We want revenge. I will never forget this blood feud. There were some hot-tempered Han clan disciples shouting about revenge, but most of them were silent. They were terrified into silence, and they felt fear. The matriarch of the Han clan held the letter of the Zhao clan in her hands, and her hands were shaking uncontrollably. When she heard the words of revenge from the Han clan members, her face sank and she cursed. All of you, listen up. If anyone wants to take revenge, you're out of the Han clan. You're not allowed to call yourself a descendant of the Han clan in the future. All of you are just ignorant fools who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Zhao clan's old ancestor is also gone. The matriarch of the Han clan scolded angrily. Those who were more quick-witted pulled those disciples aside and covered their mouths. All the Han clan disciples were like frosted eggplants. No one dared to say anything. Terror filled everyone's hearts. In such a short period of time, someone had killed the old ancestor and the patriarch, who was a 9th grade martial artist, as well as a large group of elders in the Han clan's old mansion. The key was that not a single sound was made. How terrifying was that? Was this person still human? This was the work of an immortal. This was even more terrifying than the heaven-shaking sword strike from the headquarters of the Wind Thunder sect many years ago. Moreover, the Zhao clan's old ancestor is gone. This? The matriarch of the Han clan didn't know what to say. She quickly got someone to inform the Wang clan as soon as possible, telling them to increase their guards and gather all the disciples of the martial arts academy to defend the Wang clan. The only hope of the 7 great clans this time was the Wang clan. This was because the matriarch of the Han clan knew that the Wang clan had 2 martial saints. This was the reason why the Wang clan had not collapsed for thousands of years. After today, the Han clan could be considered to be over. The matriarch of the Han clan started crying from the bottom of her heart. She could not be bothered about what to do with the Han clan from now on. There were way too many martial artists in the Wang clan. Therefore, Li Yuanqing took the initiative to appear before the 2 old ancestors of the Wang clan. It was drizzling at that time. Li Yuanqing was wearing a white shirt and walking in the rain. The raindrops did not land on Li Yuanqing at all, but evaporated 3 meters away from him. Even so, Li Yuanqing, who was walking over from afar, looked like an immortal from heaven with an incomparably handsome disposition. Fellow Taoist, why have you come to my Wang clan from afar? The Wang clan actually had 2 old ancestors. Furthermore, they were the 2 brothers who had lived for 200 to 300 years. At this moment, they looked to be in their 30s or 40s with extraordinary bearing, just like a teacher. However, they still greeted Li Yuanqing warily when they saw him. Since you have submitted to the Northern Kingdom, then you should have the awareness of being a subject. Have you never thought that there will definitely be endless conflicts, and blood will flow like rivers when the 7 great clans deliberately defy the decree? The ones suffering are the commoners. When you dare to defy the decree, then you should have thought of this day. Li Yuanqing had actually spoken more than 2 sentences when he looked at the Wang clan's old ancestors before him. This was also the reason why the Wang clan was probably the strongest among the 7 great clans. Their 2 old ancestors are martial saints. No wonder they dared to oppose the Northern Kingdom. However, when these families rebelled, or when they overthrew the Northern Kingdom, the innocent civilians would suffer in the war. That was why Li Yuanqing was willing to make the trip. As long as he could kill the ancestors of the 7 great clans and destroy their hidden cards, all of them would become obedient. The Northern Kingdom would be able to trade for several decades of peace. Otherwise, it would be a hidden danger. The royal family of the Northern Kingdom? Haha, your cultivation is outstanding. The royal family of the Northern Kingdom is weak and only has 1 martial saint. It is not enough to intimidate everyone. It is like a child holding a gold ingot in the middle of a bustling city. Those with the ability will naturally try to snatch the gold ingot unless the child is willing to give it up. I see that your cultivation is extraordinary. Why don't you cooperate with us? In the future, when the Northern Kingdom is destroyed and the new dynasty is established, we can promise you the position of state preceptor. The Wang clan's old ancestor was taking advantage of the fact that there were 2 of them and Li Yuanqing was alone. To think that he would try to recruit Li Yuanqing and even try to convince him to join them, Li Yuanqing could not help but laugh out loud. A state preceptor for a new country. This Wang clan's old ancestor was really interesting. The Wang clan has been hiding for 1,000 years. The tree is big and the roots are deep. It's time to dig out the roots this time. Otherwise, it will block the sunlight of the owner when they grow too fast. Li Yuanqing did not want to say anything anymore. He took out the Saint Extermination Stone. He should be glad that he had been cultivating and nourishing the Saint Extermination Stone for so many years. Otherwise, the 2 Wang clan's old ancestors would probably cause some trouble. The Wang brothers looked at each other. Instead of running, they summoned their swords and charged at Li Yuanqing. In the eyes of the Wang clan old ancestor, the Li family of the Northern Kingdom did not have any foundation. They only had 1 martial saint. They even personally went to the Wind Thunder sect to check the traces left behind. There were about 8 martial saints from the 7 great clans. Even if they did not join forces, they could still hold Li Yuanqing back with just the 2 martial saints from the Wang clan. After all, the person in front of them looked so young and his cultivation level was about the same as theirs. He would definitely lose if he fought against 2 of them. They wanted to see what other trump cards the royal family of the Northern Kingdom had to deal with the 7 great families after they dealt with Li Yuanqing. This large territory originally belonged to the Wang clan, and even the Zhao clan was their puppet. As for the Han and Fan clans, their matriarchs were the Wang clan's ladies. Those ladies had been carefully nurtured since they were young. making them loyal to the Wang clan. Therefore, after these ladies became the matriarchs of those aristocratic families, they would all side with the Wang clan from the bottom of their hearts. Furthermore, their children would naturally rely on the Wang clan's support to become the next generation's patriarch. The Wang clan would become the final beneficiary. With a huge amount of resources, the Wang clan could produce 1 or 2 martial saints. With 3 or 4 martial saints from the Wang clan's direct line of descent, the new country would definitely be more stable, because the strong would always be respected. Without the support of a powerhouse and a strong foundation, the Northern Kingdom was destined to fail. The Wang clan scheme was very good. They had been painstakingly preparing for this plan for hundreds of years and had even found a chance to defy the decree of the crown princess of the Northern Kingdom. It was a pity that they had met Li Yuanqing, who possessed the Saint Extermination Stone. Hence, they were destined to fail. When the 2 old ancestors of the Wang clan attacked together, they were horrified to discover that they could no longer use their cultivation after being suppressed by the Saint Extermination Stone. Furthermore, they looked like ordinary martial artists now. The fear was indescribable. In the blink of an eye, the 2 old ancestors of the Wang clan, who were controlled by the Saint Extermination Stone, were easily killed by Li Yuanqing. The Saint Extermination Stone's aura seemed to be weaker, and there was already a clear difference from when it first killed the Zhao clan's old ancestor. But Li Yuanqing did not take it to heart. He had stayed in the Wang clan for quite a long time because other than the 2 old ancestors, there were 4 peak 9th grade experts, who were the Wang clan's patriarch and 3 elders. Li Yuanqing followed the aura and looked over. Even though these peak 9th grade martial artists were strong, they were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered before Li Yuanqing, unable to fight back at all. Not only were they unable to fight back, the cautious Li Yuanqing did not let them make a single sound. After that, the Wang clan still had a dozen or so 8th grade martial artists. It had to be said that the Wang clan's foundation was really very strong. It was even much stronger than the royal family of the Northern Kingdom. A 1,000-year-old clan was indeed not to be underestimated. Since Li Yuanqing was here, he did not stay idle either. He killed all the 8th grade martial artists very quickly. He moved quickly even though it was raining outside. The sky was already dark, and the entire Wang clan's old mansion was quiet at the moment. No one was walking around. So Li Yuanqing was exceptionally relaxed when he was killing these people. There were still over 30 7th grade martial artists from the Wang clan. Li Yuanqing thought for a moment and felt that it was still early, so he continued. This time, he planned to wipe out the Wang clan's 1,000-year-old heritage in one night. That was why the Wang clan was so arrogant. They wanted to support a new emperor and establish a regime that belonged to the Wang clan. They did not even consider the bloodbath or the safety of the citizens of the Northern Kingdom. There was nothing Li Yuanqing could be merciful about. If he were to be soft-hearted now, it would be a fatal blow to the Northern Kingdom. Trees that grew too big in the courtyard would block the light of their owners. Furthermore, the Wang clan wasn't a family that was loyal to their country and empathized with the common people. Since they dared to rebel, they had to be prepared to have their entire family killed. Li Yuanqing was merely killing some hidden dangers along the way. Therefore, he didn't have any psychological burden. It would be better for him to work harder today than when the people of the aristocratic clans joined forces to rebel in the future and attack the cities and plunder the land, causing millions of citizens of the Northern Kingdom to fall into the chaos of war. At that time, more than 1 million people would die. Compared to the hundreds of people from the Wang clan who were killed by him, it was obvious who was more important. It was just that when Li Yuanqing was killing the Wang clan's 7th grade martial artists, he encountered a little trouble. He had walked into a very remote courtyard. The courtyard was very dilapidated, and there were weeds everywhere. This was somewhat different from the luxurious residence where he had started killing those 7th grade martial artists. There was the sound of coughing and the strong smell of medicine in the courtyard. Someone was talking. Just drink a bit of medicine. The Wang clan doesn't want to see me, but I am still a 7th grade martial artist. They are still willing to give me this bit of medicine, so don't be so reluctant. The person who spoke had a slightly aged voice. That person had his back facing the door and was currently serving a woman with a worried expression to drink medicine. The woman kept coughing and sighing. Our Linger will be sent to the patriarch of the Ji clan for a marriage alliance. The patriarch of the Ji clan is older than you this year, and his son is older than Linger. What a pitiful child. If you have the mood to brew medicine for me, why don't you go beg the old ancestor and ask him to take pity on our Linger? It's all your fault. You weren't able to complete your mission at the Li clan that year, so you were punished like this. The woman on the bed could not stop crying. As she cried, she scolded her husband for being useless. While her husband allowed her to scold him, he kept his head lowered and fed her medicine. Li Yuanqing looked at the hunched back of the old man, then at his shabby little courtyard. It was so remote that there was not even a servant to serve them. He could not help but stop in his tracks and reveal himself. He even sighs, only to see the old man frowning as he places the medicine on the table. He then walked out of the courtyard and looked at Li Yuanqing in astonishment. Your Highness, I'm not dreaming, am I? Greetings, Your Highness. After recovering from his shock, the old man knelt down towards Li Yuanqing without hesitation. This man was Wang Xian, the teacher that the royal family had hired for Li Yuanqing. Back then, the Wang clan's plan was for Wang Xian to assist Li Yuanqing to be the emperor. Wang Xian would then be the emperor's teacher, and they would use Wang Xian to influence Li Yuanqing and interfere with the politics of the northern kingdom. After Li Yuanqing was crippled and sent to the wilderness, Wang Xian returned to the Wang clan. He fell from his position of being revered in the past. Although he was also a 7th-grade martial artist, he was not liked by the old ancestor since he had not completed his mission. Even his wife and daughter were burdened by him. Looking at Wang Xian, who was kneeling on the ground, Li Yuanqing's heart was in turmoil. In the past, he could not see through Wang Xian and did not know that Wang Xian was sent by the Wang clan. He thought that the Wang family supported the royal family and trusted him greatly. He was always willing to discuss important matters with Wang Xian. There was even a time when he found out that Wang Xian had given birth to his only daughter, Wang Ling. He had even rewarded her with many valuable items. But this time, he came to take the Wang clan's expert's life. And Wang Xian was a 7th-grade martial artist. Although he was a 7th-grade martial artist and wasn't valued by the Wang clan because of his mistakes, he was still considered an intermediate martial artist in the Northern Kingdom. He wasn't particularly bad. Your Highness the Crown Prince, why did you come to the Wang clan? Quick, leave through the side door with me while no one has discovered you. The Wang clan has already fallen out with the royal family. If you're discovered, you'll only die. After the Wang clan revolted, the original royal family had to be killed. Not a single one would be left alive. Although Wang Xian found it strange that the former crown prince did not look like a martial artist with crippled meridians at all, instead, he had the elegance of an immortal. However, he still wanted to escort Li Yuanqing away the moment he saw him and save his life. Although the Wang clan had asked him to be a spy, he had been teaching the former crown prince for more than 10 years and had developed feelings for him. Otherwise, Li Yuanqing would not have trusted Wang Xian so much back then. Li Yuanqing, who was still wavering, laughed after hearing Wang Xian's words. Mr. Wang, since you already know that the Wang clan is seeking death by plotting treason, it's up to you whether the descendants of the Wang clan will live or die in the future. Also, don't tell anyone that I've been here. Just remember it. Li Yuanqing decided to spare Wang Xian's life. There were probably only a few hundred or so of Wang clan's descendants. However, there were more than 1,000 people from the collateral or related families. If the Wang clan still did not heed his warning after he finished off the experts of the Wang clan today, then they deserve to be exterminated. After Li Yuanqing said that, he left the small courtyard swiftly. Wang Xian, who was a little dazed, heard his wife's rasping voice and hurried in. His wife asked who was outside. He did not tell the truth either. He only told his wife to rest in peace and not let her imagination run wild. When the Wang clan discovered that their 2 old ancestors, patriarch and elders, as well as experts above the 5th grade had all died, they were simply terrified. They quickly rang the bell of communication, and only then did they realize the entire Wang clan, besides the 7th grade Wang Xian and the 5th grade Wang clan's matriarch, over 100 experts above the 5th grade of the Wang clan had died. The key was that they had died quietly and were not discovered by anyone. When Wang Xian saw the corpses on the ground, it was as if he had fallen into an ice house. His body was so cold that he could not move his limbs. Wang Xian recalled Li Yuanqing, whom he met in the courtyard. He was not the abandoned crown prince. He was the biggest backer of the Northern Kingdom. With Li Yuanqing around, the Northern Kingdom was as stable as gold. The Wang clan's 1,000-year-old foundation was completely destroyed this time. If they did not learn from this lesson, they would probably face a calamity and would never be able to make a comeback. Wang Xian, who had come to this realization, stepped forward. He had always been a virtuous and knowledgeable person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become Li Yuanqing's teacher. In the past, he had been suppressed by the two old ancestors because he was too weak in the Wang family. Now that the two old ancestors were gone, Wang Xian was the strongest. Although the position of the matriarch of the household was high, she was still a woman. Wang Xian was chosen by the heartbroken members of the Wang clan and became the head of the Wang clan very quickly. He helped to settle the funeral affairs of these experts and arranged the future development of the Wang clan. At this moment, letters from the Han and Zhao clans were sent to Wang Xian. When he saw both the Han clan's old ancestor and Zhao clan's old ancestor were killed, and noticed that the experts from those two clans were also killed, a chill ran down Wang Xian's back. Everyone was guessing what kind of almighty this person was, while others were still speculating whether it was the royal family or some mighty figure from the Northern Kingdom. Wang Xian knew clearly that the mighty figure everyone was talking about was the former crown prince Li Yuanqing, who was once his student. However, at the thought that Li Yuanqing had once spared his life and told him not to tell anyone, Wang Xian really refused to say anything. He only sent people to find out if anything had happened to the remaining 4 clans. The Ji clan of the 7 great clans was not strong. Li Yuanqing did not alert anyone when he went over. However, he was still disgusted when he found the patriarch of the Ji clan. Although that person was a peak 9th grade expert, he looked like he was in his 40s or 50s. His hair was white and his face was wretched. No wonder Wang Xian's wife kept crying day and night. Anyone would be heartbroken if their precious daughter was given to such a person to be his wife. Therefore, Li Yuanqing did not hesitate when killing him. It took Li Yuanqing less than 2 hours to get rid of all the Ji clan's experts. Moreover, he spent most of his time searching for them. However, he decided to find a place to rest after he left the Ji clan. He had exterminated 3 or 4 aristocratic families after a day and a night of non-stop running about. Although he was efficient, he was still a little tired. On this day, he happened to see a small river, and there was a large bazaar and wine tavern by the river. He strolled into a clean-looking restaurant. He chose a table near the river and sat down. From time to time, he would take a look at the sparkling river. He also ordered a cup of tea and a few side dishes. Li Yuanqing was already a martial saint. Even though he had already abstained from eating, it was still a form of pleasure to enjoy delicacies. It was also a form of rest for him to sit in a restaurant and enjoy the atmosphere of the city. The restaurant had always been the most well-informed place in the Northern Kingdom. While Li Yuanqing was waiting for the dishes to be served, he heard a lot of news. On one hand, it was said that the 7 great clans wanted to rebel. Many commoners were worried that the Northern Kingdom would fall into another war. At that time, they would probably sell their sons and daughters and have nowhere to stay. It was said that one would rather be a dog in a peaceful time than a man in a chaotic time. If they really fought, it would be the commoners who suffered. There were many similar tales, but Li Yuanqing did not pay attention to them. However, he also heard a different tale. It was news about the Wang clan. It was said that the coffin shops near the Wang clan worked day and night, and they even brought coffins from the nearby markets. It was said that the Wang clan suddenly had a disease and hundreds of people died overnight. That was why they went around buying coffins. The Wang clan was an aristocratic family that had existed for thousands of years. To have hundreds of people die at once like this was something that had never happened in hundreds of years. That was why the commoners were so curious. The news spread like wildfire. In just a day's time, the news was spread to the restaurant. It isn't a plague. Don't you know that something big has happened? Not only the Wang clan, but even the Zhao clan and the Han clan are in trouble. The imperial court is going to attack the aristocratic families. The imperial court is actually very powerful. I'm afraid the aristocratic families are going to suffer this time. I heard that the Zhao clan is also buying coffins everywhere. An almighty is taking action. We still have to trust the imperial court. Li Yuanqing heard all sorts of discussions in the restaurant. In the eyes of the common people, the royal family of the Northern Kingdom was still very good. The common people did not care who the emperor was. They were only concerned about whether they could eat, wear warm clothes, and have a house to live in, or whether their family could be together peacefully. Although the Northern Kingdom's foundation was weak and it had suffered countless crises, in the end, there were no major wars on this piece of land and the commoners lived in peace. Therefore, in the eyes of ordinary people, they still supported the Northern Kingdom. At least in their eyes, this country was still very good. No matter who became the emperor, whether they were male or female, as long as they had food to eat and a place to live without suffering from war, they would be good emperors. A good emperor naturally had to be supported. They were all gloating over the 7 great clans' misfortune. If the aristocratic families were unlucky, the emperor would not go and take revenge on these aristocratic families, and the commoners would not suffer the pain of war. No matter how bad the royal family of the Northern Kingdom was, they were able to cultivate and rest for the past 100 years without fighting, so they were already the best emperors. The dishes served by the restaurant were not exquisite, but they tasted pretty good. Li Yuanqing was very satisfied with the food. After the meal, a cup of green tea was served. The tea leaves in this world were very similar to those in his previous life. This was also the reason why Li Yuanqing liked to drink tea. Because when he drank tea, he would not feel lonely. Leaving behind an ingot of silver, Li Yuanqing did not care that the waiter was chasing after him to get the change for him. He left swiftly. He was initially a little tired, but he was already satisfied after sitting in the restaurant. He went straight to the Zhongxing clan, one of the 7 great clans. The Zhongxing clan was very weak. They only had one martial saint. There were only 30 to 40 martial artists above the 5th grade. They could not compare to the Wang clan. Therefore, Li Yuanqing left after staying in the Zhongxing clan for 2 hours. There's only the last Wei clan left among the 7 great clans. 2 days have already passed. After dealing with the Wei clan, I'll be able to return to that valley in the wilderness within 3 days. Zhaoyang should still be waiting for me? Li Yuanqing calculated in his heart. He had almost finished off the 7 aristocratic families, leaving only the Wei clan. And at this time, the atmosphere in the Wei clan was abnormally tense. This was because the patriarch held several urgent letters in his hands. From the very beginning, the Zhao clan had sent a letter of request for help. It was said that all of the powerhouses of the Zhao clan, including the old ancestor, had been assassinated. All that was left behind was a room full of weak women and children. Other than the several strongest 5th-grade martial artists, the Zhao clan's patriarch and elders had all been killed. The Zhao clan had joined forces with several great clans to take revenge for them. The Han clan's letter informed everyone that they had to be careful. It was likely that someone from the Northern Kingdom's royal family had come to deal with them. Moreover, the person who had come was extremely terrifying, even more terrifying than the one from the Wind Thunder sect. It was because the Han clan's people actually only discovered that the Han clan's experts were killed after several hours. So many people from the Han clan had died, but they didn't even know who had come. The only thing they knew was that the person who could kill their ancestor was definitely not weaker than a martial saint. This was a formidable enemy. The Han clan told the major clans to be extremely careful. If it really didn't work, the experts could all gather at the Wang clan for protection. After all, the Wang clan had as many experts as the clouds, and they were the most powerful among the 7 great clans. Moreover, the Wang clan also had a martial arts academy. There were also some hidden experts in this martial arts academy. It could be said that the Wang clan was comparable to the other 2 aristocratic clans. They were probably the strongest in the entire Northern Kingdom, even if they added the experts from other aristocratic clans. The letter sent by the Han clan made the people of the Wei clan very tempted. But when they planned to gather all the experts to go to the Wang clan, they received a letter from the Wang clan. When he opened it, the Wei clan's patriarch's expression turned ugly. From top to bottom, the Wang clan only had one 7th-grade martial artist left. Over 100 powerhouses and 2 old ancestors were killed, and not a single person discovered who it was. This was too terrifying. Everyone was clearly guessing in their hearts that the person who came was definitely someone sent by the Li clan. However, They had never seen anyone who could silently kill the few old ancestors. How terrifying would that be? Was this the hidden trump card of the royal family? It was too scary. Because the Wei clan was slightly further away from the rest of the families, Li Yuanqing had yet to rush over when he received the news. After some deliberation, the other party immediately gathered all the guardians they could invite, as well as some forces they had connections with. With the addition of 40 to 50 fifth grade and above experts of the Wei clan, they gathered outside the ancestral hall. Because here, not only was the terrain the highest, it was also the most spacious and could accommodate several hundred people at the same time. In order to withstand the risks that they had to face, the Wei clan had even invited a few experts at the peak of 9th grade and set up an inescapable net in the entire Wei clan. In particular, there were some sword formations, and even some formations that were specially used to deal with large groups of experts. The Wei clan had even emptied out all of their resources and set up all the array formations that could be used outside the ancestral hall. This was because, according to the Wei clan Patrakas speculations, the person who was able to silently exterminate several aristocratic families was definitely the sacrificial soldiers trained by the royal family in secret. It was even possible that they were trump cards left behind by the founding ancestor of the Northern Kingdom. Therefore, the Wei clan activated the array formation. The Wei clan had a history of over 1,000 years. The descendants of the Wei clan were all obsessed with the study of array formations, so they weren't the strongest on the surface among the 7 great clans. However, their array formations could be said to be unparalleled. In the past few hundred years, all the array formation experts that appeared were related to the Wei clan. The Wei clan's array formation was superb. It was rumored that even martial saints would be trapped if they tried to break into the array. Moreover, since the royal family of the Northern Kingdom had made a move against the aristocratic families, they would definitely bring a group of people to the Wei clan. Therefore, when the old ancestor and the patriarch of the Wei clan received the news, they immediately started to set up the array. He did not believe that the trump cards of the Northern Kingdom royal family were all martial saints. The flaw in his formation was that the strength of the formation differed according to the strength of the one who set up the formation. For example, the Wei clan's formation had once trapped an expert who had killed a martial saint. In the past 1,000 years, more than 10 martial saints had died in the Wei clan's formation. Each of them had been outstanding figures of that era. This was also the reason why the Wei clan was not prosperous and did not have many experts. However, they had a very high say in the 7 great clans. It was even the reason why their lady had married into the Wang clan as their matriarch. By the time Li Yuanqing arrived at the Wei residence, it was not even 3 in the morning. The sky was at its darkest hour. Usually, it would be bright after 3 in the morning, and today was the 3rd day of Li Yuanqing and Zhao Yang's agreement. Therefore, he didn't hesitate and went straight to the Wei family. After dealing with the Wei family, it was time to return to the Wilderness Valley. Li Yuanqing soon found the Wei clan's ancestral hall after following the aura of the powerful beings. The people from the Wei clan were really weird. They were actually all gathered outside the ancestral hall and meditating. Even though the sky was not bright yet, and many people were sitting on the ground and sleeping, they were all gathered together. It saved him the trouble of searching alone. But Li Yuanqing met with a little trouble when he was entering the ancestral hall, which was the formation. The Wei clan had set up a large number of array formations outside. They were all linked together and looked rather exquisite. However, even if they were exquisite, it was useless as they could not stop Li Yuanqing. However, when he stepped into the square outside the ancestral hall, before anyone noticed, a voice suddenly sounded in his head. "Are you willing to sign in outside the ancestral hall of the Wei family?" Li Yuanqing was elated. He could sign in outside the ancestral hall? It was a pleasant surprise, so he signed in immediately. Soon, 2 choices appeared. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. 100-fold reward for the Restore Origin Pill. 1. 100 Restore Origin Pills. 2. 1 Heavenly Cycle Demon Extinguishing Array. Li Yuanqing was a little tired from running around for days. If he were to take the Restore Origin Pill now, his fatigue would be swept away. However, this Heavenly Cycle Demon Extinguishing Array made him even more interested. Although the Wei clan's formation could not trap him, It was truly quite interesting. Formations were also determined by the cultivation level of the person who set up the formation. If the person who set up the formation had a high cultivation level, it would definitely be able to trap and kill many people. To say it in an exaggerated way, it could even trap thousands of people. It was even more powerful than an immortal sword. Even though he had killed 7 of the aristocratic families of the Northern Kingdom, the words of the Wang clan's old ancestor that he had once met were still fresh in Li Yuanqing's mind. If a child held a gold ingot in the middle of a bustling city, it would attract the attention of countless peeps and others would naturally snatch it away. Thus, only by making the royal family stronger would the kingdom be truly stable, unlike the current emperor who would use his children to exchange for stability. The Northern Kingdom was destined to be in Zhaoyang's hands in the future, so the heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array should be useful. Li Yuanqing chose the array without hesitation. Because of this delay, the Wei clan's old ancestor in the ancestral hall was alarmed, and some of the experts were also awakened. Li Yuanqing stood outside the ancestral hall and looked at everyone with a smile. He had killed 6 powerful aristocratic martial saints. He was the last one. Since they were all gathered together, there was no need for him to conceal himself. He can just kill them. The Saint Extermination Stone had already been activated to its maximum effect. The original Saint Extermination Stone could only control an area within 100 meters. However, even if it was activated to its maximum, it was only a radius of 30 meters. But these 30 meters were enough. The martial artists that were shrouded by the 30 meters radius instantly lost their fighting capabilities. Their cultivation states were all controlled and could not be channeled. Li Yuanqing was like cutting watermelons as he reaped these powerful beings one by one. The Wei clan had meticulously laid down an array formation. All the martial artists gathered wanted to resist and counterattack, but it was all useless. They thought that the people who came to kill them would be a group of sacrificial soldiers. But unexpectedly, only one person came. It was this one person. Within 15 minutes, everyone, including the old ancestor of the Wei clan, had died on the spot outside the ancestral hall. Li Yuanqing was glad that they were all together. By saving time like this, the Wei clan was finished in less than 15 minutes. So what if they had powerful formations? The sky was still dark, and the rest of the Wei clan did not know about it due to the isolation of the array. Li Yuanqing did not hesitate to destroy the array set up by the Wei clan when he left. These formations were useless to him, but to some experts who had just entered the martial saint realm, they could trap them to death without giving them any chance to counterattack. This was the Wei clan's killing weapon, so it was better to destroy it. When he left the ancestral hall of the Wei clan, the sky was still dark. However, Li Yuanqing had already destroyed the foundation of the 7 great clans of the Northern Kingdom. Although he was exhausted, he didn't hesitate. He hurried straight to the wilderness valley and made his way back by noon. He didn't go to see Zhaoyang, but went to the hot spring to take a shower and change his clothes. He had killed too many people in the past 2 days. His body reeked of blood and baleful aura. Even if he deliberately avoided it, some of it had stained his body. He should be able to clean himself up after taking a bath. After taking a bath, Li Yuanqing rested. When evening came, he appeared before Princess Zhaoyang in white. Wang Shun delivered them food again. The 2 siblings had dinner together and whispered to each other. The 7 great clans are almost finished. The Li clan is weak from the core. You should take back some of the power of the aristocratic families and forbid them from building a martial arts academy. If the Li clan wants to grow up and win the respect of the poor commoners, they can choose talents from among them. The aristocratic families can pay for the fees. While eating, Li Yuanqing gave Zhaoyang some suggestions. The Northern Kingdom had only been established for a short period of time. During this period of time, their foundation was poor. Not only were there few martial artists, but their national treasury was also empty. However, this didn't matter. Since the aristocratic families dared to defy the decree, then they would have to pay a price. Digging out the treasuries of the 7 aristocratic families was enough to fill the treasury of the Northern Kingdom, and it could also solve the funding problem of the Martial Arts Academy. Big brother, that's a good idea. However, the reason why the 7 great clans are so arrogant is because they have too many experts. They had even more experts than the Northern Kingdom's royal family. How can they yield so easily? Princess Xiaoyang did not know where Li Yuanqing had been these few days, and she did not take his words to heart. That was because it was too inconceivable and unbelievable. Not even an immortal could solve the problem of the 7 great clans in 3 days. A tiger that has its teeth removed is just a pet cat. Isn't it still at the mercy of the Li clan? Don't miss this opportunity. I'll go and sleep for a while. You can return to the imperial city tomorrow. The 7 great clans are no longer a threat. All that's left is to stabilize the regime of the northern kingdom and let it grow quickly. Li Yuanqing finished his meal quickly and drank a cup of tea. He left the confused Princess Xiaoyang to rest. The Saint Extermination Stone was a great killing weapon in his hands. It was very useful even when facing a martial saint. However, after killing the Wei clan's experts, the power of the Saint Extermination Stone had obviously decreased. Right now, he could control less than 10 meters radius. Even if a martial saint was turned into an ordinary martial artist in the end, the 10-meter radius was still too small. Therefore, Li Yuanqing planned to cultivate the Saint Extermination Stone and the Heavenly Cycle Demon Extinguishing Array that he had signed. When Li Yuanqing decided to go into seclusion, Princess Xiaoyang received a secret letter.